spot. Y'all know what time it is. It's time for the Proverbs of today. It's 14/6, June 14th. So that means we're going to be reading Proverbs 14. If you're catching me live, welcome in everybody. Thank you for joining me to read today's proverb. Proverbs, if you're coming over later on or whenever you read it, welcome in. Thank you for coming over to join me for another reading of today's Proverbs. Again, we're reading Proverbs 14 today. And I was going to do 14 and 15, just depends on how quick we get through it. Um, for right now, let's just stick with Proverbs 14. Let's just stick to what we said we were going to do. Today, I'm going to be doing a little bit more commentary than usual. I'm reading as well as reading commentary showing the contrast between wisdom and folly. So let's get into it. The wise, starting at verse 1, let's go. Hey, everybody, thank you for joining. The wise woman builds her house, but the foolish pulls it down with her hands. Verse 2, he who walks in his uprightness fears the Lord, but he who is perverse in his ways despise him. So let's just do a little commentary on Proverbs 14:1. It says, the wise woman builds her house. So wisdom builds. It looks at what is and wisely considers how to make it better. Many homes have been made by a godly woman, a wise woman who looks after the home and builds it. So, of course, we know that this is calling her prudent. And it says that she does things such as increases property in the family. She buys furniture. She picks out choice furniture for the home. She chooses food, brings the food in, and just other things in that manner to build the house. This is the true building of a house. The thriftless wife acts differently, and the opposite is the result. In contrast to this wise woman, the foolish woman pulls it down. She tears it down instead of supporting and building what is. Folly shows its destructive nature. The woman of a home has tremendous power to make it better or worse with her hands. But the foolish woman pulls it down with her hands. With her hands, as the husband is as the head from whom all the sinews do flow, so she, the woman, is as the hands into which they flow and enable them to do their office, their job. So a note from the commentary says, note the foolish woman, her idleness, her waste, love of pleasure, her lack of forethought and care. We see her house torn down in confusion. It would have been a sad result if this had been done by an enemy, but it is the doing or rather undoing of her own hands. So the woman has, hello, Brian. Hey, poppies. What's up, DJ Money and Darkel? How y'all doing? Welcome in. We're just doing the Proverbs reading of today. Saturday now. Happy Saturday. Hey, Fanatic. Hey, baby. Proverbs 14:2 says, he who walks in his uprightness fears the Lord, but he who is perverse in his ways despises him. So the commentary says, the one who walks in his uprightness fears the Lord. And we know that's a referential fear, right? A referential respect, an honoring of the Lord, not necessarily scared, right? Frightened. Um, it says, one who is upright through their heritage, past habits, and general course of life still has the decision to walk in their uprightness. Doing this demonstrates that they do fear the Lord. So it's kind of like what I just said, just a referential respect and an honor to the ways and to the things of the Lord. He who is perverse in his ways despises him. So again, the contrast to the upright is the one who despises. The perverse is what the Bible calls it. The disobedient man shows that he really despises God and his authority. They say, we will not have this man to reign over us. That's written in Luke 19:14. This displays the sinfulness of sin. It is often not only weakness, it is deep seated rebellion against God. Okay, that's good. Okay, so let's go on to Proverbs 14 and 3. It says, in the mouth, Fanatic says, always watching the news. What you watching on the news? What's going on? In the mouth of a fool is a rod of pride, but the lips of the wise will preserve them. That's Proverbs verse 3. So, in the mouth of a fool is a rod of pride. We talked about pride yesterday, right? The fool deserves the rod of correction. Mm. In the word pitcher used here, the rod of correction is made of the fool's pride, and it comes from his own mouth. Oof. So the fool's pride finds a rod in his mouth that lashes himself. He is his own worst enemy, and he's an enemy to others. Mm. But the lips of the wise will preserve them. The mouth of a fool brings punishment to the fool, but the wise man or woman is rescued. They are preserved by their own wise words. And again, if you've listened to any of the previous Proverbs readings that's below on this channel, you see we've been talking about our words, speaking, having self control, watching who we talk to, when we talk to, and what we talk about. Proverbs 14 and 4, where no oxen are, the trough is clean, but much increase comes by the strength of an ox. Verse 5, Proverbs 14 and 5. A faithful witness does not lie, but a false witness will utter lies. The commentary says, a faithful witness does not lie. The simple and straightforward testament has much spiritual instructions in it. Jesus called his followers, you and I, to be his witnesses. One of the primary responsibilities of a witness is to simply tell the truth and not to lie. Y'all, but that can be very difficult for a lot of people. Tell the truth. Excuse me. When we have a genuine faith and experience in the person and work of Jesus Christ, we can give simple, true witness to him. When we have a genuine faith and experience in the person and the work of Jesus Christ, we can give simple, true witness to him. A false witness will utter lies. Again, this statement points to a great spiritual truth. We should never be a false witness, for Jesus Christ uttered. We should never be a false witness for Jesus Christ and utter lies about who he is and what he has done in our lives. Ooh. Proverbs 14:6. A scoffer seeks wisdom and does not find it, but knowledge is easy to him who understands. Go from the presence of a foolish man when you do not perceive in him the lips of knowledge. Here, the author is encouraging us to avoid the presence of a foolish man or woman altogether. One cannot increase in knowledge by associating with a fool. Nothing comes from nothing, as many can affirm. When you do not perceive in him the lips of knowledge, the fool and the wise man can almost always be known by their words. So true. All you have to do is just listen. Sometimes when you're in conversation with people, just listen to what they're saying. You will always be able to discern a fool, and you will always be able to discern someone who's speaking with wisdom. This is a wonderful and often neglected way to discern if someone is a wise or a fool. Just listen. Just listen to them. They'll speak on their own. They'll tell you who they are by their own words. They'll tell you what's on their hearts by their own words. Amen. Proverbs 14 and 8. The wisdom of the prudent is to understand his way, but the folly of fools is deceit. It's saying here the prudent person carefully considers and they understand their ways. They know the path that they're on, their point up on the path, and their progress along the way. But the folly is full of deceit. This explains one reason why foolish and fools can be popular. Their attraction is based upon deceit, in the same way that the bait deceives the fish into ignoring the hook. Ha! Proverbs 14 and 9. Fools mock at sin, but among the upright there is no favor. The heart knows its own bitterness, and a stranger does not share its loss. There is pain and bitterness enough for every heart. The sense is that those one heart knows its own bitterness, it is difficult for anyone else to know the pain and bitterness of another's heart. So we're just talking about some commentary here. So we can't judge our other brethren and sisters as though we understand them and we're competent to give a verdict upon them. So we're not here to judge. We're not, and it says an example, as Job friends did, we are not to sit down and condemn, right? We're just here to have compassion and to support. Yes. So we're going to pick up at verse 11, Proverbs 14:11. The house of the wicked will be overthrown, but the tent of the upright will flourish. There is a way that seems right to man, but its end is the way of death. Verse 12. That's a popular scripture right there. Let's read what the commentary says. There is a way that seems right to man. Proverbs often speaks of the way, the path of life a man or woman walks upon. Solomon observed this way often seems right to a person. His path of life seems fine to him, and he wonders why God or anyone else would have a different opinion because only his way seems to be the right way in his eyes. The issue with this, however, is deceptive evil. It might promise and deliver happiness, power, and the good life, but it cannot sustain what it gives. Ooh. Let's go on. Proverbs 14:13. Even in laughter, the heart makes sorrow, and the end of mirth may be grief. So the person who always seems to be happy and laughing and such in a good mood doesn't always mean that they're happy. The person who often laughs is not necessarily happy. The outward expression of laughter may be used to mask, cover up great sorrow in the heart. So that proverb is teaching us that to declare the vanity of all worldly joys and comforts, and to teach men moderation in them, and to persuade us to seek for more solid and durable joys. Okay, let's go on. Proverbs 14:14. The backslider in heart will be filled with his own ways, but a good man will be satisfied from above. This is saying that the backslider, those who decline in their relationship and their obedience to God, will suffer from it, even if their decline is only in heart. Their own backsliding ways will come upon them. Mm, A good man will be satisfied from above. The ones, the wise ones who do good and enjoy God's blessings and the satisfaction that comes from Him. Proverbs 14:15. The simple believes every word, but the prudent considers well his steps. So this is saying the man or woman who lacks wisdom, the simple, has little ability to discern truth from falsehood. They believe everyone, especially if they seem sincere. A wise man fears and departs from evil, but a fool rages and is self-confident. So this is saying the wise man appreciates evil for what it is. He sees it, understands it, and he keeps himself far away from it. He does not overestimate or test his own strength in resisting evil. He departs from it. He has nothing to do with it. Basically just saying, like, if you know something, if something ain't good for you in the environment, some people, some places, don't try to test your own strength. Stay away from it. You know it's evil. Been there, done that. Don't try to say, well, I can handle it. I can go ahead and just go out with my homeboys, although they drinking, my homegirls, although they drinking, and you know that that's still a weakness of yours, right? I'm just using that as an example. Like, don't put yourself in a place where you're going to be tempted to partake in evil or sin. Okay, 17, let's go on. I want to go back and read Proverbs 14:6 to contrast, where it says, a wise man fears and departs from evil. However, a fool rages and is self confident. So instead of godly fear, instead of using common sense and walking away, the fool rages with uncontrolled tempers and outbursts. Despite his bad temper, he is self confident. He thinks what he's doing is good. The self confidence of fools is a mystery and a marvel. Ooh, a quick tempered man acts foolishly, and a man of wicked intentions is hated. So, in the previous proverb, the fool rage, here, his quick temper leads him to act out his foolishness. The wise man has the self control to not react immediately and out of a bad temper. So Proverbs 17 is saying it's an action now. So not only are you angry, but now you in full blown action. You doing something about it. You going off on people. Eh. Verse 18, the simple inherit folly, but the prudent are crowned with knowledge. The evil will bow before the good, and the wicked at the gates of the righteous. The poor man is hated even by his own neighbor, but the rich has many friends. Huh. It's saying when a person is poor, they don't have as many friends, and maybe their own neighbor may hate them. Mm. The rich has many friends. This is a simple fact of life. The friends of the rich might be insincere friends, but there are more of them. You got the loop. That's why. Proverbs 14:21. He who despises his neighbor sins, but he who has mercy on the poor, happy is he. So both men and women, regardless of how we look at people, poor, rich, middle class, we are all made in the image of God. And therefore, we are commanded to love our neighbor, the person next to us. Neighbor doesn't necessarily mean your neighbor in a physical building, your home. No, your neighbor is the person that's next to you. To despise is to hate. So to despise your neighbor is to sin. The generous heart is the happy heart. So the link between the first and second lines of this proverb shows that whoever has mercy on the poor should never do it in a superior manner that would show they despise the poor they say they help. Okay. All right then. Proverbs 20:14-22. But they not go astray who devise evil, but mercy and truth belongs to those who devise good. In all labor there is profit, but the idle chatter leads only to poverty. The crown of the wise is their riches, but the foolishness of fools is folly. Okay, those who reject wisdom, the only crown they gonna get is more folly. The foolishness becomes multiplied. A true witness delivers souls, but a deceitful witness speaks lies. Mm. Ooh, those who spread such lies and false reports fail to do the good of a true witness, and they practice the evil of their own lies. Verse 26, in the fear of the Lord there is a strong confidence, and his children will have a place of refuge. Um, his children will always have a place of refuge. God always provides himself as a refuge for his children. I'm going to say that again. God always provides himself as a refuge for his children. For the word tells us in Psalms 46:1, God is our refuge and strength. He's a very present help in a time of trouble. Amen. Proverbs 14:27, the fear of the Lord is a fountain of life to turn one away from the snares of death. So the fear of the Lord is a fountain of life. The commentary says one might think that fear always leads to less life, not more. But that isn't how it works with the fear of the Lord. Proper fear of the Lord is rooted in understanding who God is and who we are in relation to Him. That alone itself is like a fountain of life. Okay. Verse 28, in a multitude of people is a king's honor, but in the lack of people is the downfall of a prince. He who is slow to wrath has great understanding, but he who is impulsive exalts folly. So this proverb is saying there is great wisdom in the ability to control one's response to provoking situations. Being quick to wrath brings many regrets. He who is impulsive exalts folly. So it's saying the impulsive, uncontrolled person who quickly reacts without thinking lives in a way that exalts foolishness. Proverbs 14 and 30. A sound heart is life to the body, but envy is rottenness to the bones. So if the heart here means the physical organ, the actual physical aspect of our heart that beats in the chest, any medical doctor would agree that a sound heart is life to the body. Yet, in the Bible, Solomon had in mind heart as a metaphor for our innermost being. So when we are sound on the inside, it brings health and life to the whole body. But it says envy is rottenness to the bones. So the presence of envy is presented as a contrast to a sound heart. Envy corrupts us from within and can poison many otherwise good things. So this proverb is teaching us that to nurse a resentment is bad for the body as well as the soul. It is no sacrifice when we renounce it. That's good. Proverbs 14:31. He who oppresses the poor reproaches his maker, but he who honors him has mercy on the needy. Don't mess with God's people. Poor, rich, in between, all alike. We are all his children. It says, this proverb says, to oppress the poor is to sin against them, but it is also to sin against and to insult God himself. So to oppress and despise the poor is to despise his maker, the one in whose image all humanity was made. In contrast, it says, he who honors him has mercy on the needy. So the one who honors and loves God will reflect God's own mercy on the needy. A cold, mean heart towards the poor shows a lack of honor towards our God. My God. The wicked is banished in his wickedness, but the righteous has a refuge in his death. Wisdom rests in the heart of him who has understanding, but what is in the heart of fools is made known. Righteousness exalts a nation, but sin is a reproach to any people. The king's favor is towards a wise servant, but his wrath is against him who causes shame. Ooh, so that it concludes Proverbs 14. Let's kind of see. Let's see what the Proverbs verse of today is gonna be. Let's see. I think we're gonna go with Proverbs 14:31. Um, because I think it's important for us to understand that when we despise the poor, when we look down on the poor, we're not just looking down on the poor and despising them themselves, but it's the Father. It's you insult the maker. So basically today's proverb says if you insult the poor, you insult the maker. So let's read the Proverbs verse of today, which is verse 31. Those who oppress the poor insult their maker, but helping the poor honors him. So basically, whoever is kind to the needy honors God. This verse teaches an important biblical principle. Our treatment of others reflects and affects our relationship with God. All people, regardless of their social condition or financial standing, are created by God in his own image. That's followed up in Genesis 1:27. And this truth is also repeated in Proverbs 22:2. The rich and the poor have this in common. The Lord is the maker of them all. And to pour contempt on God's creation is to slander God. That's going to conclude today's Proverbs reading. Thank y'all for joining me for another Proverbs reading, y'all. Again, I'm going to go over on TikTok and just going to give a commentary on today's Proverbs verse of today, which is Proverbs 31. Thank y'all for joining me and reading me in this Bible study. I'll see y'all tomorrow.